They're corrupted and corroded. I think the mainstream media outlets are organs of the left. And if I say that, that doesn't mean I'm on the right. That just means that's a criticism. And I think they've been fed healthy dosages of propaganda for decades. So I think that the ocean of propositions in which people are swimming, I don't even think that they realize how bad the problem is, how bad the situation is. Yeah. And so the first order of business is you have to end migration. Because if I lived in a sane world, I wouldn't say that. Here's what I would say. We have to acknowledge that certain immigrants are net detractors from the Treasury, and they're guilty of, it is more likely if someone comes from country X that they will be incarcerated. Mm-hmm. And less likely if someone comes from country Y, Japan being the paradigmatic. But you can't say that because people are not...
That's the problem.
They're
you
not
can't say that.
Well, they're not capable of the nuance.
You can't say truth, is what you're saying.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the other thing. Europe is in this problem because of first principles, because they have failed to be honest. They are not, they are lying. Yeah. And they continue to lie. And I mean, I don't live there. I mean, what am I supposed to? They've had enough American hegemony. I don't live there. Trump has said they're going to take away NATO. They got problems with the Russians. The Poles have conscription. I mean, we got Europe has a lot of problems. But the first order of business, you need an absolute unconditional moratorium on migration. The second order of business is, I'm going to say this, people are going to lose their shit, but it's true. You have to start shooting people if they attempt to come over the border.
Yeah.
There's simply no other way to keep people out.
No?
Yes, and by the way, that's what the Prime Minister of Poland did after an illegal migrant chucked a spear into a Polish officer, killing him at the border between Germany and Poland. And you know, as soon as they shut down illegal immigration, Poland became the safest place in Europe. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. But let me know what you guys think.
There's simply no other way to keep people out.
No, I actually
But
agree.
if somebody has another way, I'm completely willing to listen to it. I think the cameraman left. Did that offend you? I think it offended him so deeply he left the room.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's why he left. He shook his head and left. But I don't know what's the only other solution to that.
Yeah, I think.
Reed, let's bring the camera guy up here and ask him his solution. Get him up here and we'll mic him up, and I'll ask him what his solution is.
Actually, because your position's not that bad. The point is, why are you breaking the law? Okay, you're breaking the law, and there's repercussions. You're not the innocent one here. I mean, in other words, I agree with you. And
but if anybody else has a solution, I'm willing to hear the solution. I mean, I don't know what the solution would be other than you have to have a moratorium, and if people try to come to the border, you have to shoot them.
The thing is, you know, I've said
what
this
is the
before.
other solution?
The thing that I've said before, which I just, people don't get this, is, you know, especially Europeans and Americans. I might have told you this before, but, you know, when you look at the world population, the whites are like 6-7%.
Yeah.
They're already a minority.
Yeah.
And yet it's they who who feel it's their job, their moral right, their moral duty to always let everyone take their country.
Yeah.
Even though they're the tiny minority and, you know, the world is flooding with blacks and browns and yellows or whatever, but the whites are the ones that it's, you know, oh, you're a bad person because you don't give up your land.
Hey, if you
if
you disagree, did you leave because you disagreed?
No, I just needed to go use the bathroom real quick.
But you didn't leave because you disagreed with anything?
No.
Oh, okay. Because I'm going to say, if you disagreed, I'm more than willing to have a conversation with you about it.
I appreciate that. Maybe we could do that at the end of the shoot.
I mean, we'll get it on film right now.
I appreciate that. I don't feel like,
If you don't want to appear, maybe he can ask it and we can speak without
I mean, if you have
physically
a-
appear.
Can I ask this question? I mean,
You can ask me anything you want.
Strong feelings about finding the murder of Charlie Kirk absolutely wrong, which I agree. But then to say in the same sentence, we should be shooting people for just being a refugee, trying to flee violent conditions, trying to make a better life for themselves.
Okay.
I mean, so I just,
Give it to me in a sentence, because I'm going to repeat what you said. I want to make sure that I get it right.
Sure. I just think it's, you're either, I don't think you can denounce political violence, especially like really nasty political violence, like shooting someone, while calling for that political violence against people you judge to be political enemies.
Okay, so I just want to get this in a sentence. So your problem with what I was saying is you don't think I can denounce the murder of Charlie Kirk and advocate for shooting people who come to a country illegally. Did I get that right?
Yes, that's right. Because I think laws are, inherently malleable.
Okay.
I mean, at one point, it was illegal for a black person to go into a white-only establishment.
Yeah.
I think that a refugee, for example, has a right to come to, who's fleeing violence, has a right to come to another country.
Okay.
So what I found offensive, though, is just you saying shooting those people, because to me, that is similar to what you were denouncing earlier, which I agree with. We shouldn't kill our political enemies. I think
agree, yeah.
calling for shooting and killing people that you have that disagreement with, to me, that made me feel about how you would probably feel if someone said they were pro shooting and killing Charlie Kirk.
So what would your solution be to illegal immigration in Europe?
Well, I think Muslims make a small percentage of the immigrants in Europe, or the population in Europe. It's something like 5 to 10%. I don't think immigration is actually a problem. If you look at statistics, undocumented immigrants commit less crimes and less violent crimes.
But that doesn't answer the question, though. So what is the solution to illegal immigration in Europe?
Well,
I gave you my solution.
It does answer the question, because so in your question, you're implying that there's a problem that needs to be solved. The way I'm answering that is I'm saying that implication is false.
Okay.
And the facts don't support your feelings about the issue. And the facts are that, especially in America, undocumented immigrants commit less crimes.
But we're talking about Western Europe.
So we're talking about Western Europe.
Yes.
I believe the statistics are fairly similar. I looked it up while you were talking, and there are more hate crimes against Muslims than there are hate crimes against Christians. And I understand that's a topic of debate, but to pretend that a minority that's 5 to 10% of the population is somehow oppressing 80% of the rest of the population, I don't think facts support that. And I think calling for shooting people, I think is over the line. I think that's over the line in the same way that you probably felt when you saw someone shot and killed Charlie Kirk because they disagreed with him. I think that's just deeply objectionable rhetoric, especially right now.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand your position correctly. So you don't think there's a problem with illegal immigration?
I think whether immigration is legal or illegal is arbitrary.
Okay, so you think that we should allow people to come? You
had based your argument on the idea that people are coming into this country without being quote unquote vetted, right?
We're talking about. I just want to be clear. We're talking about Western Europe in the context of this conversation.
Well, I think basically, if there's not a legal process to immigrate, then the term illegal immigration becomes a misnomer, because what you actually have a problem with is immigration, not illegal immigration, immigration in general.
What if a country said, we don't want immigrants? Is that okay?
If a country said what?
We don't want immigrants.
Well, and I would say that I'm a white person, you're a white person, you're a white person.
I'm not a white person.
I apologize for assuming if you're not white, and I apologize genuinely for that. My ancestors came to this country, and there were other people living here.
Let's say Europe. We were talking about Europe. Let's say the UK says we're British and Germany says we're Germans. We don't want non-whatever into our country. Do they have that right?
Well, and what I would say is that's when we back up and we look at the history of imperialism. If you want to talk about violence, if you want to...
But yes or no? I'm looking for a yes or no.
Well, of course you're looking for a simple answer, because... but what I'm actually doing is rhetorically unpacking what you're implying and how that breaks down once you start.
No, it's a country saying, look, we're a sovereign nation. We are the country
Okay, well, but I was answering
Sweden.
that. So I was answering that. You have to look at, for example, why are there so many Muslims immigrating to Europe?
Because it's a better life there.
Because over the last couple decades, the U.S., with their European allies, killed over 1 million people and destabilized the entire region. Most of the people coming to Europe are refugees from European actions. So it's entirely hypocritical to say that you have no right to be here when we... And when I say
you're making a humanitarian argument, in other words.
It is a humanitarian argument, absolutely.
Okay. So I'm just trying to think of how this translates into policy.
Sure.
In the context of Western Europe specifically.
Sure.
So does a country have a right to say we're going to close our borders?
I think that immigration is a human right.
Okay. So
in
you
the
think
same way,
just to be clear, I want to be clear in your position.
Yes.
If Saudi Arabia said we don't want non-Muslims, this is our country, we are a Muslim country, and we don't want non-Muslims. Do you have a problem with that?
Absolutely. I would say that's deeply oppressive.
But that is what they do.
Exactly.
Actually.
And that's my thing. I'm against that sort of policy. I'm against bigotry. I'm against closing the borders. I'm against I think immigration is a human right. I'm against dictatorship. I'm against the dictatorship in Saudi Arabia, and I'm also against oppression of Muslims here in America as well. I believe in freedom, which means the freedom to be Christian and the freedom to be Muslim, wherever you are in the world.
How about the freedom to have my own country without anyone coming in?
I don't think that is a reasonable... No, I don't believe in that. I would describe that, and to give you an analogy, I would say that, say the Jim Crow era, someone could have made a similar argument. Do I have the freedom to go into a place without people of different races? And I would say no, because that's impinging on their freedom, and that's not actually a free society.
Yeah, but I mean, America is a different example because the slaves were brought here. I get that.
I'd like to keep talking about Western Europe. I mean, if you really want to talk about America, we can, but we're talking about...
I think that the issues are very analogous, but I understand. Go ahead.
He asked me my solution for what should be done. And did I get that wrong? You asked
what does Europe need to do?
We start with the UK.
And then you called for shooting people. And so that made me feel about probably how you would feel if suddenly I called for shooting someone who you respected.
But see, can I answer that? Because it strikes me as a little different. Here's what he's saying, I think, is this. America is a sovereign nation, or any nation, not just America. Let's say Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia decides we have borders and we don't want anyone coming illegally. Okay, you can maybe apply legally and we'll figure it out. Okay, we've made our position known. This is our nation. These are our borders. Now, once someone knowingly says, I'm going to try to get there, isn't that kind of their fault? They've now stuck themselves, they've put themselves in this position where they're the bad guys. Whereas the Charlie Kirk example, no, this is a person who said, I don't like your political views and I'm going to murder you. So I don't really think they're analogous.
I think that, let's agree on one thing. Killing someone is really bad.
Yeah, but
shooting and killing someone?
Bad, but I made a law. This is our land. You're an outsider. That's how the world works. Every country's like that.
So if someone were to propose that we shoot and kill...
you chose to break in.
If someone were to propose that we shoot and kill, say, people who violate a speed limit, I would say that's very gross and very bad.
Yeah, well, okay. But
this guy is clearly proving why you should never argue with the leftists. These people don't live in reality. This guy claimed illegal immigrants commit less crimes than native Europeans. That's fucking insane. First of all, the first step he took off his boat was an illegal one because he came illegally in any European country, US, whatever. So it's already a criminal from the start. But even if we just pretend he's not, on average, an illegal immigrant is 22 times more likely to commit crimes compared to a native European. And if we look at groups like Afghani, people from Afghanistan, Syrians, these people are like 40 times more likely to commit crimes than native Europeans in France, Germany, England, all over Europe. So this is false. Second of all, it says something like illegal immigration is needed because there's no legal migration. What the fuck are you talking about, bro? We're literally taking anyone that is an asylum seeker. They say they come from a war-torn country, but at the same time, they want this country to be like their country. And a lot of them, actually most of them, don't even come from a war zone. It's just an excuse to get in. And we know this because when you ask them, they actually tell you, yeah, I'm here because of money. I'm here because of work. I'm not here because I'm scared of my life. They just get money from us and then they send it back to their country and their families. That's it. They're not here to build our country up, to help us. No, just extract resources and then leave or stay illegally. So why would we want them here? It's a loss anyway. And then the third thing he said was like comparing Charlie Kirk's assassination to an illegal immigrant getting shot. I mean, if you're that low IQ to not understand that one is a criminal committing a crime, literally breaking into a country illegally, and the other one is one promoting free speech, having political debates on campus, promoting Christianity, traditional values, like how the fuck can you compare the two? And this is the thing with the leftists. They're always trying to defend evil, attacking reality. That's pathetic.
I would say that's very gross and very bad.
Yeah, well, okay, but I mean,
Okay, so now you understand.
Yeah.
Now you
No,
understand
I get
that
it,
just
I get
because
it,
it's illegal,
but if
that proposing to shoot and
he's
kill
saying
them,
that
that's
because
deeply
he's
offensive.
saying that because we don't do that and nobody respects us and they do it and they break the law. So obviously the response has to be raised up and the repercussions have to be greater. Not because we want to do that, but people need to respect and fear the law. That's how it works.
So you feel that anybody should just be allowed to come to Western Europe who wants to come?
Yes, I believe
Okay,
that.
well, that's a different. Okay, that's,
And also,
that's-
I would go
okay.
so far as to meet you halfway and say there should be a vetting process. And this is my issue, and this is the big issue, is because people aren't being refused access because they're being vetted and it's determined that they're not allowed because they don't meet some requirements. They're being refused access because en masse, they only allow a small amount of people. So it's not that people are trying to get in who fail a vetting process. It's that immigration itself is being banned, and that's being pretended like that's about a vetting process. But it's not about a vetting process. It's about excluding what I feel like is a human right, the right to leave a war-torn country and make a better life for yourself.
Okay, so let's go back to the original claim. He asked me about Western Europe, what I do. When I asked him, are there any questions you'd like to ask me? And I went through a litany of things that I thought I would do. I mentioned shooting, and if any of this, my recollection is in error, please let me know. I'm jumping ahead, you offered to meet me halfway and say you think you should have a vetting process. My argument to you would be you haven't answered the question. What do you do with people who go to Western Europe illegally? You still have people coming in days.
I would say that I would say you would treat that like a minor crime in this instance. If one, that it is actually possible to immigrate if you pass a vetting process, which by the way, it's not. You need a lot of money and a lot of resources, and they only allow a small amount. So realistically, immigration.
Yeah, you know, guys, we allow illegal immigrants, giving them healthcare, food, housing, money. But at the same time, we don't allow legal migrants. Are you that stupid? That's the problem. Europe doesn't have an illegal immigration problem. Yes, it's part of it. But the problem is mass migration, legal and illegal. So what do you think? We don't accept legal migrants, but we accept illegal migrants? How can you be so stupid?
Not possible for people. But two, if someone does break what I would consider a minor crime, which is crossing a border, that they should be treated and that should be assessed in the same way of, for example, somebody speeding, which is a minor crime that would require appropriate consequences and not, for example, shooting them.
Okay.
And just to say why I walked out, one of my best friends is an undocumented immigrant.
Yeah.
And you suggesting that he be shot for what I don't even consider to be a crime.
Is he in Western Europe?
He's not.
Okay, so let's go back to this. So we have the country of the UK, the United Kingdom, in England. We agree, we make a law, we say we're going to vet people, and we still have, what is it, Matt Goodwin's statistic and Eric Kaufman, 183,000 people entering the country. And you want to treat that like a speeding violation.
Do you know how many speeding violations there are a day?
No, I just want to make sure that I understand the argument.
Yeah. That's not, basically, I don't think it's a crime to cross the border.
Okay, so
it's a totally
I think, say the
modern...
truth, I think you don't even care. Like, if someone breaks and enters illegally, I think you think it's okay. You probably are rooting for them, right?
Because that would be a crime. I'm saying it's a crime to break into someone's house and steal something. And if someone does a crime, they should be punished for a crime. I'm saying it's not a crime to immigrate. Do you think
so you don't believe in sovereignty of a nation?
I mean, honestly, I think that sovereignty is largely something that is used to oppress people.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Thank you for being honest. So now I know exactly what you believe. Wow. And so if we try to agree upon something and meet me halfway, I don't think that's meeting halfway because it doesn't answer the question.
I think I answered your question, but
well,
go
the
ahead.
idea is that is there any number of illegal immigrants that we shouldn't, like if 10 million people wanted to come into the UK or on dinghies in a year, we would just treat that like a speeding violations for those individuals.
Realistically, it would be fine. The number you,
Well, that's honest. That's honest.
The number you proposed was, I think, hyperbolic, and would realistically, when you look at the facts, when undocumented or not, when immigrants go to a community, that community benefits.
Okay, but I'm not talking about the benefits argument. I'm talking about if people, there is no upper limit of people, you think, before we say absolutely no more.
That's right. I think
that's honest.
Humans have, since the dawn of time, been born to migrate. I think it's a human right.
I'm going to wish you something. I wish to consign you and your family and all of your posterity to lives that you want to create, because you're pretty much going to create that in Western Europe. And I wish to consign you to that life. I wish you to give you the very thing you want. I would wish nothing else upon you than that.
Sorry, I'm not understanding what you're trying to communicate to me right now.
I'm trying to communicate, in the context of Western Europe, you're getting the world that you want.
What he's trying to say is that you're a weak, pathetic man that will probably enjoy the Islamification, the invasion of your country until it's too late. And when you're being ruled by the same people you spent your life defending, those same people will make sure to let you know they never liked you. But guys, let me know in the comments what you think, if you agree or disagree. Leave a like and subscribe if you want to. Christ is King, and God bless you.